Welcome, everybody. I'd like to present the progress of my PhD project investigating the role of maternal age in the occurrence of non-chromosomal congenital abnormalities. I'm working as a specialist at the Obstetrics and Gynecology department of the Semmelweis University. My vision is a Hungary where pregnant women receive the state-of-the-art pregnant care, which is to guarantee the best chance for the new generations. And my mission is on this way to improve the screening methods for structural abnormalities. To reach my scientific goals, I've got two ongoing projects. We're investigating this same question on a global level by a meta-analysis and on a country level by a population-based study. Please let me start with the population-based study. We are at the phase of article writing, and we finished the draft, and the next step will be the internal review at the next week. Why is it relevant to investigate this question in the Hungarian population? The frequency of the congenital abnormalities is the same as in worldwide, about 4%. And in Hungary, about 30% of live births fall into the high-risk age zones. So our hypothesis is very young and advanced maternal age increases the risk of non-chromosomal birth defects in the Hungarian population. I'd like to shortly present our study design. We collected our data from the Hungarian Case Control Surveillance of Congenital Abnormalities, which is a really unique database due to its comprehensiveness, its size, and wide range of information. So we've got really detailed information about more than 30,000 pregnancies. And we compared our data to data from the Central Statistical Office. So we analyzed, regarding maternal age, more than 3 million pregnancies during our study period. On the next slide, I'd like to present our results. And on the first result slide, shortly present our statistical method. It's an important part of our study because this is a novel statistical approach of this question. In general, in literature, everybody uses arbitrary age categories to compare the maternal age categories. And our plan was to identify the best 10 years for each congenital abnormality categories. On this graph, you can see this gray field, which shows us the best 10 year for the mother age years. And we compared each maternal age years to this best 10 period. And you can see here a nonlinear regression trend line, and among the trend line, you can see a confidence interval. And as visible on this graph, very young and advanced maternal age increases the risk of non-chromosomal birth defects when we analyze them together. The next slide, you can see all of the non-chromosomal congenital abnormality categories, which I grouped by maternal age influenced. On this first slide, you can see that advanced and very young maternal age are influencing these categories. And I would highlight the circulatory system because of the severity and the frequency of this category. And at this category, we've got an opportunity to use additional screening methods to improve the detection rate. On the next slide, you can see that urinary system and fascial abnormalities are associated with advanced maternal age, while the next slide, very young maternal age is influenced the nervous system abnormalities. We found that respiratory system anomalies hasn't got a correlation with maternal age, but it can be because of the low case number of these abnormalities. Our main conclusion is that maternal age highly correlates with non-chromosomal congenital abnormalities. Congenital heart defects associated with very young and advanced maternal age, by neural tube defects associated with very young maternal age. As a clinical implication, is really important that we can improve the screening methods of giving maternal age-related indication for fetal echocardiography and fetal neurosonography. And for future research, it would be nice to investigate the biological background to understand better the role of maternal age and justify this role with a multivariate model. The main strengths are the huge case number, the unique database and data collection methods, and this novel statistical approach, as I mentioned. The main limitations are the long study period, and during this long study period, changing methods were changed, and the data collection ended in 2009. Please let me continue with our second project, which is a meta-analysis in the same topic. We started the article writing, and I'm ready with the supplementary material, but my focus is on the first project today. And why is it a good opportunity to examine this question by a meta-analysis? We know that at chromosomal abnormality, there is a well-known correlation with maternal age. As visible on this graph, there is a really sharp increase with maternal age at chromosomal abnormalities. But the literature is really inconsistent at non-chromosomal abnormalities, so we have to examine this question. And because of this gap in the literature, there is no uniform recommendation for structural abnormalities regarding maternal age. Our hypothesis is, again, very young, and advanced maternal age increases the risk of non-chromosomal birth defects. We carried out a systematic search in October in the 3 comprehensive databases, and after the selection period, we've got more than 100 articles for mathematical synthesis. On the first result slide, you can see the situation when we analyzed all of the non-chromosomal congenital abnormalities together. We found that both advanced and very young maternal age increases the risk, and this result is both statistically and both clinically relevant and significant. And here is a great difference from our population-based study, because at congenital heart defects, we found that advanced maternal age increases the risk, while very young maternal age can prevent these abnormalities. And the explanation can be that at our population-based study, we excluded the co-occurrence of chromosomal abnormalities. And we know that chromosomal abnormalities highly influence the prevalence of congenital heart defects. So the first study, the population-based study, more reflect better the role of maternal age, but for clinical practice, this result can be more valuable. I'd like to show an example for the individual abnormality. At gastroschisis, we found that very young maternal age increases the risk. And it's got a really important message, because we should pay attention for young mothers also. The main strengths are the high number of cases and articles, the generalizable results, because we've got articles worldwide, and the low risk of bias also. And the main limitations are the long study period with absolutely different detection rate, the different age categories, which sometimes was hard to analyze in homogeneous categories. And we could use just an univariate model, because we included just population-based studies to this meta-analysis. Advanced maternal age increases the congenital heart defects, and we'd like to use this new knowledge to improve screening methods of this category of congenital abnormalities. And then in the next future, it would be great to make another studies with the confounders to use a multivariate model. Our goal is to submit both of these projects this summer. And please let me close my presentation with the Nobel Prize laureate Albert Szent-Györgyi. Research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. Thank you for your attention.
I would ask do you think, is it reasonable to make fetal echocardiography in women who are above 35 age group, to put it in the routine pregnancy care? Do you think is it feasible?
Yes, our plan is to investigate this question in more ways. Of course, this is a population-based study, so we can just realize that this is an important question at this age category. But of course, it needs more examinations. For example, for the healthcare system, we can be sure that it's valuable for them, but for the individual person, we are sure that it's a really important knowledge.
Is there any explanation you can give to the higher rate of gastrocesis in young patients?
Yes, probably I can show that it was at
below 20.
So at very young mother, neural tube defects were more frequent, and the explanation can be probably the folate intake, for example.
The gastrocesis, the last slide.
The gastrocesis question. Yes. So here it can be the answer that at young mother, this environmental effects, for example, drug, smoking, and again the folate question, because of they are not planning the pregnancy, can be a really big problem. And there is a theory that at this really young mother, so under 16, the reparation methods can be so developed.